Two timelines, one impossible mystery. Life is Strange Double Exposure follows Max Caulfield as she shifts between two timelines to solve a supernatural murder mystery after finding her friend Safi dead in the snow. In this parallel timeline, Safi is still alive and still in danger. With her new power, can Max solve and prevent the same murder? Buy Life is Strange Double Exposure, available now on Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC. Rated M for mature.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold! Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See detail.
Join us on a journey, you glorious human, to see yourself clearly and feel a little more awesome than you did before. It's Awesome with Alison.
Young hearts run free, never be. Do you think that my singing is so accurate that copyright is going to come in and shut it down?
It's so accurate. Copyright just came in right now, and I haven't even... They're at the door knocking. They're saying, you can't take our song.
This is episode 197. We are so excited you are here. You look really good today. Your hair looks really nice, and everybody loves you. This episode is Be a More Accomplished Human with the MVP method. Wow. Eric, when you hear MVP, what do you think?
Oh, man. Most valuable player.
You think about your glory days playing T-ball.
Yeah, T-ball. 6-year-old Eric. That's when I peaked. The decline has been slow and steady ever since I was 6.
So I have had the honor, nay, the privilege of doing some coaching calls again. I've actually got a special offer for podcast listeners. There's a link in the show notes. But yesterday in the coaching calls that I got to do, I used the same idea for both people. And then I realized this is something I tell almost everybody in a coaching call. I bet everybody could really benefit from this. And so for this episode, let's make it happen. Let's make it count. Let's move the needle. You're not just going to listen to this episode. You're going to have fun, dang it. But you're also, let's really start putting into action these ideas. So in order to do that, is everybody ready? I want you to visualize or think about something you want to move forward. Now, this could be, I don't know, Eric, throw some stuff out. What could these be in your life?
I had an hour discussion with my business partner on the game we're developing.
420 Doom.
It's actually 1490 Doom, but for the sake of this, we can call it 420 Doom. Yeah, we just had an hour. We kept going in circles, and then we finally landed on what's the most viable product and
minimum viable product. We didn't tell him yet that's what MVP stands for because you said it was the most valuable player, but MVP is minimum viable product. And so we are talking about something you want to move forward, and you're talking about 420 Doom.
Yes, sure.
Okay, 1490 Doom. And what is it that you want to move forward? What were you guys talking about?
We're talking about, this is so nuanced, but it's like these terrain pieces like...
No, people want to hear about the terrain pieces. Yes, they do. Keep talking about the terrain pieces.
Okay, so...
The details give the gold, sir.
So we're talking about, do we want to give a complete game to someone, which is more like mainstream, although our niche audience is not mainstream. They like to build their own stuff. So we were talking about, do we do something that's super customizable, but it totally cuts off all the potential people that would want to open the game and have everything built for them?
Ooh.
So we had this long conversation about that, and we came to that, yes, although our core audience who love us right now, they want customizable stuff. If we make it really cool and already customized looking, and in the world of our now I was going to say 420 Doom, 1490 Doom.
I'm so influential.
Then we can, if we just make it cool like our vision, that's the most viable product because it's the easiest to build.
Okay, pause. Put a pin in it because you're almost on the concept, but not yet. So let's just leave it there, and then I want to come back to it when we talk more about this concept. Is that okay?
I'm so excited to learn.
Shut up. Okay, we are going to talk about minimum viable product, and there's 3 reasons why. When you work with this method of asking yourself, what is the minimum viable product? I will explain that in a moment. It is going to help you do the thing, whatever the thing is. It's going to help you actually take a step forward on it. That's number 1. Number 2, it actually involves less risk than other decision-making methods. It's faster, it's easier. And number 3, science says it's so.
It's been proven.
This is a business theory, and I know we've talked about it before, but I wanted to dedicate some time to it. So just like Eric is talking about this idea with his game, 1490 Doom, you're welcome, I said it correctly. How would putting it through this minimum viable product lens help you get it going, help you have less risk, and science is backing it up that this will happen. So when I think of minimum viable product, and here's how I teach it and explain it, it is whatever it is you want to create, put, do, move forward on. You ask yourself, what could I do tomorrow? What could I do with no additional resources, money, personnel, information, and move forward on that? So if this was an exercise goal, or you wanted to move forward on your fitness, it's really easy to say, I don't have a gym membership. I don't have the right clothes. I don't know where to go. I don't know what program to do. So if you were going to ask yourself, okay, what is the minimum viable product version of me getting in shape? I would think, okay, there's that person on YouTube who does those workouts that I think are fun, and I could do that in my room and it doesn't cost me anything. I'm not worried about what I'm wearing. And rather than getting so obsessed and mired in the details of, is this the best workout for me? What does this workout say about me? Is this workout going to help me do this and that? All of those things are just icing on the cake. There's no actual cake yet, and you're trying to ice it. You're trying to put sprinkles on top of a cake with no icing, right? And so the minimum viable product, whether it is a personal goal, personal development, a business goal, in a relationship, the minimum viable product brings you back to the actual thing that matters. So in business, when you're talking about the minimum viable product, let's say there's a phone or a piece of software or something that you want to put out, the way that they would use this is, what resources do we already have in place? What systems do we already have in place? What technology do we already have in place? What is the need? What would cost us the least amount of man hours, the least amount of time, and the least amount of resources to get this to market? And that's the concept of minimum viable product. What's the least amount of zhuzhing, twisting, tweaking we can do to get it to market? Yes, Eric.
So let's go back to the workout one.
Yeah.
So the opposite of minimal viable product in that workout scenario is buy a subscription to a gym, go shopping for the clothes.
Yes.
Go buy all the supplements.
Make sure you talk to 13 different people about what they do to work out, and is this really right for you?
But mentally, you're like, oh, I'm going to make it so there's no so I'm just playing devil's advocate. You're like, oh, there's not going to be any roadblocks because I'm going to have everything I need to go do this.
Yes, after you're about $1,000 in a month later.
But maybe you don't even like what.
Then you don't even work out.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Yeah,
yeah, and
it's really hard to pivot at that point.
It is. It's so hard to pivot.
It's expensive.
Well, because then you get into the perceived loss and the sunk cost. And sunk cost is, well, it's like a principle in Vegas, right? It's, I've already spent $100 on this slot machine. I should keep investing in this slot machine rather than cutting my losses and moving to something else with better odds. And it is that we would rather avoid the perception and the feeling of loss than do the thing that is going to bring us a gain because we feel like we've lost at that moment.
So how do you get around that?
By your MVP. So yesterday, for example, I was talking to this wonderful, beautiful woman who I'm excited we're going to get to work together more because I believe in what she's doing. And she is working a full-time job, but she also loves coaching. and she loves her job. She knows that's what she needs and what her family needs right now. And I support 3,000% in that. And she noticed by doing some side work that she actually had capacity to maybe looking back into her coaching business a little bit, which she had since let go. And I thought that was such a cool, like the minimum viable product of insight for her was actually taking a little bit of a side job after her full-time job that brought an additional income that their family needed. But then she used that as evidence to show her that she has the capacity to do something a little extra after work.
Okay.
Right there, that is an example of minimum viable product when it comes to a product of your time and your capacity. Because rather than starting an entire second business after work and sinking a bunch of cost and launching and showing her face and saying, here's what I'm doing now, she took on a little bit of extra work, realized she had the capacity. And I said, what me and her are going to do now is we're going to baby step minimum viable products. So a minimum viable product for her to move her coaching forward, which she has experience doing and is very qualified in a great place to do, is there's a couple of things she could do. Is she could put out an offer to people that she already knows and say, hey, I've got this thing I'm working on. I want to help you. If this is interesting to you, will you be my guinea pig? Let's go. That would be a minimum viable product. Another example of a minimum viable product for her that we discussed was, hey, you are an expert and have so much experience and resilience in these 3 areas. Why don't you reach out to the people that you know, have them reach out to the people that you know and say, let's get a group together and let's just meet maybe once and talk. And we just let's support group. Let's support one another. Let's come together. And it would be free and you would meet somewhere free and you wouldn't invest in a bunch of decorations and you wouldn't spend a bunch of money on graphic design and you wouldn't hire a photographer and you wouldn't worry about having headshots. Do you see where I'm going with this? All of the things that people think they need in order to be legitimate. Are you kidding me? If there was a whole bunch of people, if there was somebody that I trust and know says, hey, there's a whole bunch of us who feel like we are losing our ever-loving minds right now. Do you want to come sit with us for an hour and try to help each other out? Yes, please. That's a minimum viable product. And now we've gone from I work full-time and I need to start a coaching business and I need to leave my job and invest everything into this coaching business to let's see what the market needs. Let's see what takes. Let's see what hits. Let's see what resonates. And when I look back on my biggest financial successes, they have always stemmed from responding to what people need. So I was doing my Build an Awesome Brand workshop. And when I was doing that, I started doing that 8 or so years ago. Influencer marketing was brand new. And I had all these businesses coming into my Build a Brand workshop and they would be like, but what do you say to the influencers? And what do you do if the influencers don't do this? And like literally we would talk for 6 hours about branding. And then the 2 hours left, all anybody wanted to do is ask me questions about that. And that's when I came up with my courses around influencer marketing, was to answer those questions. And those are some of the most successful, financially successful courses, and successful in terms of people use them and still use them to this day to find great success. Things have changed, but the principles don't change. Relationship building principles don't change. The way that you apply them might shift a bit, and that's what I help people do. The principles are there, though. It's just hard when it's convoluted and it feels really confusing. And that's, so to go back to the 3 reasons why, trying to apply this minimum viable product method is effective is because, number 1, you're removing obstacles. It helps you do the thing.
Because it's possible.
Because it's possible.
If it wasn't possible, it's not that minimum viable product. If it's going to take tons of effort and resources that are stretching you, it's not a minimum viable product.
I think the best way to think about it is if it is asking for additional resources, then now in some cases, you might need a resource, right? Like in the case of my friend who wants to do more coaching, she does need to take an action step, which is ask people, would you like to do this? But that doesn't take her any big amount of time, expense, money. She doesn't need to hire a babysitter. She doesn't need to even move all the furniture in her house. She can do it as soon as we got off the call, she could do it. And so if you want a kind of a litmus test I use for myself with a minimum viable product method is, if I had to do this tomorrow, how would I do it? So now let's circle back, and I'll just say, and number 2 is less risk, because she's having less risk rather than saying, I have spent 10 weeks creating this coaching course that I shall now walk you all through. And here it is, you're going to do this for 60 days, and I need an hour from you for 60 days. I'm going to tell you right now, what she's going to find out is that people don't want to do it for 60 days, and they don't want to give her an hour. Now, she could find that out by trying to sell it first and then see, right?
Yeah.
And number 3 is there's so much scientific evidence. It's the lean startup method in a lot of ways that backs this up. So now I want to go back to 420 Doom or 1490 Doom, depending on who you're talking to, and back to this conversation of the minimum viable product, because the minimum viable product in your case is not manufacturing a bunch of pieces for people. It's not. That actually takes a lot of money, a lot of resources. You have to find a manufacturer. So I think what you have done with 1490 Doom is you have started with the minimum viable product.
We totally did, because
right?
Yeah, we started with a rule book, a PDF rule book.
Before you even put the PDF rule book, what did you do? What was the very first way you got the game out? Because people started building those pieces before the PDF rule book was sold.
That's true.
How were people playing the game?
Because we put out test rules.
Oh, there it is. Say it again.
We wrote a simple test, like, here's play test rules.
So you didn't even put out a PDF as the minimum viable product?
The test rules was a PDF?
It was a PDF.
Free. It was free.
It was a free
we
PDF.
said
How many pages was it?
probably like 20.
It was like 20 pages. And how long did it take you and Dodo? That's what I call Cody. That's his partner. Don't worry, today I told him that's his nickname is Dodo. How long did it take for you and Dodo to put that quick rule book testing guide together?
Probably a couple days.
Which I was actually expecting you to say like a month.
No. Like the thing with me is, like, when something comes to me, it comes fast. So I created the game. I wrote it all out in 2 nights, the whole thing.
It would have been so easy at that point to then say, in order for this to be presentable for the world at large, we must have a PDF that is designed in this way and looks this way. But was it designed all fancy?
No.
What did it look like?
It looked pretty cool, because I hired an artist to make some images, which is very important in this gaming world to, like, set. So I found an artist who was super cheap.
And that was right. So that was the minimum.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Found an artist who I really loved, and he said yes. And it was very easy. He got me art quick. It was cheap.
Love it.
We put together this PDF playtest, and then we started a Discord server, and just from our own little social medias, invited people, and then it blew up. And that's where people started testing it, and then we added a second edition of the playtest rules based off feedback, and then a third one based off feedback.
I love it.
Then we were ready for the PDF thing, which we've been selling every day. It sells every day.
And by the time you put the PDF out, how many pages is that PDF?
66.
It's 66 pages, and it is stunning. You worked on that for a long time. You guys went back and forth on that artwork, clarity for understanding, to make sure that it was really usable. But the reason why it's so freaking good and it's selling every single day, you have people all over the world buying this. It's so fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's way fun every day. He'll be like, somebody here bought it and somebody in Denmark bought it. And it's cool. The reason why it's working is because you, with that less risk, less cost, less investment, let other people play an imperfect version of the game. And what the minimum viable product does is it asks you to take your friggin' ego down for a second and your perfectionism and put it on the shelf and say, done is fun. Having something imperfect is better than nothing.
It's true.
Right? You get to take that step forward And now you are at now this is cool because it's okay. So that was the minimum viable product to go from 0 to a PDF to have a game. Now you're selling versions of this PDF every day. And what is the next step that you guys want to do?
We want to do a Kickstarter to do a full physical book, physical minis, physical towers. And so now we're thinking of what's the best way to get this done. And like you said, now I'm realizing we actually did this very smart. I didn't even realize we were doing that.
I did the whole time I've been supervising it. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Like we had someone in England make our minis, and he's really talented and he's super cheap. So our minis are being made, and we're having more art made. And now we're trying to figure out the physical offering for the game that will come out next spring from a Kickstarter. So that's what we're working on.
And Kickstarter is actually a good example of the next step in your minimum viable product. Rather, because you could go a couple of different ways right now. You could go try to find investors, raise money, bring in partners who would take a piece of it, right? And maybe provide money or manufacturing. Those are all viable options. But with your skill set and the community that you have around the game, in my opinion, in my unsolicited opinion, the minimum viable product is a Kickstarter. Because the Kickstarter, while it is financial investment and time on your part, you have a little money in the bank from selling the PDF that can hopefully start to go into that next step. And so rather than jumping from a PDF to getting game pieces manufactured, we actually don't know if people want manufactured game pieces. We think they do. We think they might. But if the Kickstarter flops, there you go. There are some sunk costs on producing the Kickstarter, but not as much money. If you would have to probably truly, now that I know more about manufacturing, you would have to be between 50 to 100 grand in manufacturing to even get prototypes and a few of those to get going.
That's true.
That's just how much it would cost, because they're not going to do a run of those. That's a lot of different pieces. I'm actually very interested in this manufacturing process now. But all of that aside, that's what you research for the Kickstarter, correct?
Yeah. We're watching other games. We have other friends who have done this, so we're studying what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so
that's the thing, because it's okay. Let's say that you absolutely had to get this thing going in 2 weeks, or all hell breaks loose. Okay. Doom, the creeping doom. Isn't that what it's called?
The creeping death. Yeah.
The creeping death in the game. And so in 2 weeks, what could you get done realistically in 2 weeks? That moves you towards this goal.
Oh, moves towards the goal. I could hire someone to design some terrain.
Why? Why do you need to hire someone to design terrain?
Because I don't know how to do it myself, and that's part of the game.
What part of the game?
The physical towers. That would
like the physical towers? Like you need the physical towers designed?
Yeah.
You do need those designed, but do you need those designed before you start to determine what cost you need for Kickstarter? Because the way that Kickstarter works is you show a business plan and you go, hey guys, we want to make this and it's going to cost us this much money.
Oh, so you're saying, I didn't understand the question. You're saying not to make the game, but to get ready for the Kickstarter.
I am saying to make the game. I am saying to make the game. I am saying within 2 weeks.
That's what I'm saying is like building up to, I've learned that building up to a successful Kickstarter, you need about a 2-month runway before the Kickstarter even happens, where you're doing a sales funnel, where you're doing consistent promotion on social media, showing the pieces, showing your game on a like kind of a schedule. So that's what I'm saying is we have our minis that we would start showing because we've had our minis being made, but now terrain's another big part of that. So I would hire someone to do terrain so then we could start taking pictures of it and showing it. So as we build up to the Kickstarter, when it finally launches, you can see all of the assets, all of the cool stuff that's going to be in the Kickstarter.
Okay, just to, in your words, play devil's advocate a little bit, do you absolutely have to show the terrain already designed and made in the Kickstarter? I really don't know.
You don't you don't have to have a successful Kickstarter, but the more you show in its completion, the better you can portray to the people who would fund it what they're getting. And so it just gives more confidence and excitement.
Is there not a way to visually render that, to mock it up? Or do you need to actually physically do it?
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying is I would hire someone to mock it up. To
visually mock it up, but not necessarily print a physical copy and paint it.
Like the minis are all digital. Like you just see a file. You can see what they're going to look like. I don't have to have them in my hand.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. But I'd have to hire, it's exciting, hire someone to make these physical buildings so you can see what the game looks like.
Okay, cool. Okay, so what are the other steps in 2 weeks?
2 weeks, design a book cover. Because we already have the book made, so make the book cover look cool.
And then you need a Kickstarter video.
A video, yeah. Video.
And before you write the video, you probably need a script. And you happen to be married to a really good copywriter. Who's humble to boot.
Script, video. We almost have all the assets.
You really do.
Yeah.
And then I think the one other thing that you would need is you need like the projections of costs.
Yeah.
And then you also need to establish the different tiers of investors.
Yeah.
If you donate this much, you get this. If you donate this much, you get this.
Yeah.
But do you see, it feels more feasible now?
Yeah. And what's cool is like, I'm looking back now, we made it so it was easy to pivot. In fact, a lot of the testing feedback we got, we pivoted with rules and stuff and made it so the game turned out way better because we didn't perfect it and hold it close to the chest and then all of a sudden come out with this amazing product.
Love me.
Because we don't know if people would have liked it.
Yeah.
And it's better now because we not slowly, but we just did the next viable step.
And the key is minimum.
Minimum, yeah.
The key is minimum resources, minimum expense, minimum time.
As I was researching this, it said someone who science proves...
Science?
The people who have a minimum viable product can pivot a lot easier and there's the way less sunk costs. And then you can easily see if the market even demands it. Because sometimes we think we're solving this huge issue and then you do all the work and launch it and it wasn't needed.
Yeah. I've done that a lot of times. I've spent a lot of money doing that. And to be fair, sometimes that's just what you got. Sometimes you do that and you learn that lesson, and that doesn't mean you're a failure and that you're stupid and on. Because there always is going to be a level of risk. There's always going to be a level of unknown. When I put the dance party tickets up for sale, I had hundreds, thousands of comments and shares. And then we sold about 150 tickets and then it petered off. Now we ended up filling up the party. It was over 300 people through both collaborations, volunteers. We sold more tickets. We gave away tickets. We did some contest. But like thousands of people were like, yes, I've been waiting. I'm coming to this party. And then when it was actually time to sell the tickets, now, it was 2 days after the election. In this economy, right, the age of my audience is older. It's been 8 years since I threw a dance party. So you old biddies maybe didn't want to move your butts out of bed. No, I'm kidding. I love you all that. Right? Like, there are always going to be unknown factors. But the way that I started the dance parties was, first and foremost, in college, I threw dance parties. And then when my friend, Susan Peterson, a Freshly Picked, the way that we became better friends was at Alt Summit. She was hosting an event at this conference and everybody was just standing in the room. And I went and I found somebody who worked at the Grand America Hotel and I had them I hooked my phone up to the speakers of the hotel and took over and made it a dance party. So then when her company needed a customer appreciation party, she said, Alison, will you make it a dance party? And then when I was working with Microsoft and they said, will you do this? I said, but give me your money and we shall dance like flamingos, right? And that is how the dance parties grew from 10 people to 20 people to 100 people to at one point 1,000 people. And I will say at the end of the day, we had about 300 people. I bet there was between 300 and 400 people in the building, but we had about 300 people dancing, and that's my favorite number. I could dance with everyone. I could see people. I got to dance with my kids. Like, it just was so fun. And so bigger isn't always the thing. It doesn't mean we always need to be scaling, but being able to pivot quickly is what enables you to move forward. It's that resilience. It's that belief that you can pick yourself up and try again. And when you don't have all those sunk costs in there, it just doesn't beat the crap out of you as much. You're able to dust yourself off and try again. And so minimum viable product. At the beginning of the episode, I asked you what's something you want to move forward on. You heard me ask those questions to Eric. You heard me share some examples from coaching. I know that this was helpful for you.
It's helpful for me.
Thanks. I'm like, screw it. I know it's good. Dang it.
I know I'm good.
I know I'm good. And I know you're good, person listening. I believe in your dreams. I believe in the inklings, in the ideas, in the glimpses, in the little secret places of your heart that think that you are capable of doing, creating, contributing something. I believe you. I believe it for you. I see it for you. And anything that I can do with this podcast, sign up for some coaching, whatever it is, we are rooting for you. Eric and I are rooting for you. I'm rooting for Eric. He's rooting for me. And both of us are rooting for you. Just do us a favor and leave a review if you haven't left a review, or share this podcast with someone on social media, text it to a friend. It really is the number one way to help support the podcast. We love you. We're excited about your life. We're here, and I want to remind you that only you can be you, and you are already as awesome as you need to be. Give us some music.
Here you go.
I volunteered Eric to go into Fiona's third grade class and do music.
I'm going to go impress the third graders. Here we go.
Stop.